an unfolding thing. We don't have all the answers now. It's the beginning of a road, a new road. It's the beginning of a journey, and the road hasn't been actually laid yet. So as far as, you know, we're giving you in the beginning here facts of exactly what has actually happened, and it hasn't just started even in the 1930s. It started many, like, a good few hundred years ago. It's a paradigm shift. It is a massive paradigm shift. It's as big as being told that the world was once flat and it's now round. It is huge, and it is true, and it is up to each one of us to make it happen. Yeah. Is there anybody that has not heard that about the governments being corporations? Okay, well, that's one lone hand. So, well, that's yeah. So pretty much we were speaking to an audience that is actually quite well educated on this topic, and I know that's probably why this is our first one. So it's going to be an easy run with you guys, but we're going to go out there and we're going to have to educate people, and we're hoping that each and every one of you will actually assist with this, because it is literally, it's, you know, it's like the seesaw, you know, there's been a very sort of top heavy, and now we've got to get it so that it's correctly balanced. Yeah.
Okay, well, like Anthea has said, all governments of the world are actually not governments. They're corporations disguised as governments, okay? And that is quite huge. Maybe most of the people here know that, but a lot of people out there don't know that. And the implications of that are quite vast. But again, the information that we're going to tell you tonight is also, it's not to create a panic or to get scared, because it's actually good news. So you might have some feelings that come up as I'm going to be talking, or as the rest of us are talking, or as this presentation unfolds. What does this mean? What is it all about? How is this going to be in the future? What's going to happen? You know, so just monitor yourself and just try to be aware of the fact, and to control that fear, and think about the fact that actually, no, what if this is good news, and not to panic yet. All governments, and in fact all corporations, were foreclosed upon on the entire world on the 25th of December 2012. And we're going to come to this. We're going to this has really happened, and we're going to show you some of those documents, but of course it's also for you to do your own research. I think there was only 3 countries in the entire world that were not part of this, but every single other country, all the main countries. You know, we've been compiling a lot of information since about October, November last year, and with the big announcement in December, we've just been trying to keep up ourselves. What I've been able to figure out, but I haven't got proof of it, is that countries also have, well, governments, I should say, have 2 sets of books. And one is the book that, you know, they're showing the people, which is, you know, usually in deficit, and people have to pay taxes and everything. But the reality is because they're corporations, they're holding all kinds of trusts and all kinds of money offshore, and they're quite rich. So that's another thing. Or they were quite rich, the powers that were. So yeah, that was a stock exchange. Okay, so this is now the UCC, which is the Uniform Commercial Code, which is what Anthea is going to talk about, and a little bit more background on what I've just said.
There are 3 laws operating now, basically, on this planet, because maritime law has been foreclosed upon. Those courts were listed companies. They have all been foreclosed upon. The police force was a listed company, and it's all verifiable. You can find it all in Dun & Bradstreet. They're all listed companies. The Director of Public Prosecutions is a listed company. It's there to make money. Just by the very nature of being a company, it has to make money. That's why they're there. But so the UCC law, common law, and universal law, those are the 3 laws now which govern our world. And it's up to each person on this earth to understand now that we have the power which is in our hands to live according to how we were originally designed to live, according to those original rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which have been taken away from us. We are just on a treadwheel trying to make a living. And that's our whole world has been that for since I was born, and I think most of each one of us here. And that has been all-consuming. And as a result, we've actually lost touch with the real important things in life. None of us necessarily do the things which we want to wake up in the morning and actually do. And this is what the new paradigm is going to be. We are going to do the things we want to do. Are we going to be happy? You know, we're really going to be in proper joy and happiness. And it's going to be about freedom. But who's going to do it? We have to do it. No one can do it for us. We gave our power to the corporations. Maybe we didn't know about it in the beginning because we were registered at birth. But it's been a system that we've been in for eons of time. It has been foreclosed upon. And that is in black and white. They will tell you otherwise because they don't know any better, half of them. But I can tell you every single government, the top of all the governments, they've been told. And all the banks. That's why there have been mass resignations. Why do you think the Vatican, the Pope was recently, he either had to resign or he was going to be arrested for crimes against humanity. So the truth is coming out now, and there are absolutely extraordinary people on this planet running these common law courts. There's the International Tribunal for crimes of against crimes of church and state. Yeah, the church has been very much involved in it, especially the Vatican. Anyway, so UCC is all UCC basically is a means of exchange, and it's a means whereby companies register a number, and that number gives them the right to trade with other countries and trade with each other. So it's a code, it's a commercial code, and that's all it is really. And within it there's a way of trading. It's like, it'll tell you, because the exchange rate might be different in Japan to England, and so it goes on, but there's a way of doing it. That still exists. But the companies in there that have been acting fraudulently have been foreclosed by, I don't know whether we're going into that right now, but anyway, that's what the universe, I mean, I can read a little bit of a definition here. It says the UCC is the Bible of commerce. It precisely dictates the manner in which international trade and commerce should be enacted. In fact, the entire commercial system pivots around UCC law. If your mortgage is foreclosed on, your car is repossessed, the bank uses the UCC process to do so. And that is rife now across the earth. As I'm sure most of us know, there are loads and loads of people. I'm sure each one of us know quite a few that are having their house foreclosed upon, or their banks, their cars repossessed, or whatever it is, because for starters, money is, what's backing money? What is money? Money is just noughts on a computer and a few pieces of paper and some coins floating around. That's all it is. And we pay a fortune for it. If the computers crashed tomorrow, there would be no money, except those pieces of paper, because there is no gold or anything backing money. And that is the reality of it. And it's actually fantastic. You can just imagine what's going to come out of this. It's going to be a leveling. It's going to be absolutely beautiful, because we're all born equal. Every single one of us is born equal. It's never about the money. It's about getting into community. I remember what happened to Cuba when there was no the oil embargo was on Cuba. Do you remember? I forget when it was in the. Do you know when it was? In the 1980s maybe, or something. But anyway, they put sanctions on Cuba, and there was no oil. So everything came to a standstill. You can imagine, because there was no oil to run the cars, all the agriculture came to a stop. It was just like a big, fiasco for them. But what came out of it? Something absolutely fantastic. Do you know, they were one of the most heavily, you know, the agriculture was one of, they used more fertilizer and pesticides than just about any other country. And then they, from this, because they couldn't afford to, they got down to rock bottom. Communities started getting coming together, even went back to using the ox to plow. But their soil was dead, dead, dead. Then the soil became alive again. There was no, you know, the pesticides and those fertilizers. They started going back using compost and all these things. And then markets sprang up all over the place. And before you know it, Cuba was absolutely fantastic. And they said it was never been better. So there's always these lovely things that come out of it. And that's yeah. So that's UCC. How it all started with these foreclosures was there was a brilliant lawyer called Heather tucci-jarraf. And Heather was an expert in international law, UCC law, and as well as commercial law, because it's all part of the UCC law. And she's a mother. And, you know, we listened to her on radio blogs and things like that. And what an amazing woman. But anyway, what happened to her was that she got to understand that there was something seriously wrong with the system. And she used her own home as a tool to actually uncover exactly how the UCC process worked, so that she could discover exactly what was actually happening, how that it was possible for you know, this system that we were in to have such control over our lives. So she did. She had her house foreclosed upon, and it was through that very same process of foreclosure she and two other trustees foreclosed on all illegal and unlawful corporate governments that were basically holding the people of the earth in a system of slavery without their consent. Every single company has to have a contract if you're going to interact with it. Where are our contracts? Did you agree to all the things that's happening in our... Did we agree to it? No, the Republic of South Africa is a listed company. There's no contracts. We're forced into it by that maritime law. The maritime law is very different to common law. Maritime law is all about fines. If you don't do this, you're going to be fined. If you don't pay your taxes, you're going to be fined. It's all about that. It's all about making money. And we were on that boat, that ship, citizenship. And it's a game. You walk into a court and there's the flag there. You get taken out, you get taken under the bows or whatever it is. It's all very carefully planned, believe me. And when you've got your ears open and your eyes, my goodness, you can see it. It's clear as day. And there's no contract. We never contracted to it. We never agreed to it willingly, knowingly, or in any way. And that's what has all been foreclosed upon, and it is in black and white. There, if you choose to go onto www.opt-1776, the documents are there for everybody in the world to see, and millions of people are waking up. Millions of people are hitting these websites. I mean, our Facebook page, in just over 3 weeks, we've got 2,000 members. I mean, it's unheard of, because everybody inherently knows that what the system has not been right. And there's no love in it. Not one statute has it got the word love in it. There's no love. How can we have a world without love? And that is our new world. That is the world we're going to have. It's going to be a world where there's going to be a lot of love, a lot of caring, a lot of compassion, a lot of community living, and simple, humble living. Finding out the things that are really important to us and doing the things that really make our hearts sing, whether it's singing or whether it's developing your artistic talents or whether it's growing vegetables or whatever it is. Everybody's going to bring a fantastic piece of the puzzle to create our beautiful new world. And we will, but it's up to us to be brave and bold and say, we're not. Who's seen David Icke? I know David Icke's a bit controversial and says, oh, David Icke. But who's watched his non-comply dance? He just says, don't do it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Just say no. I'm not going to do it. I said no, but, you know, I ended up somewhere else, but it doesn't matter. Everybody has to start somewhere, and if there's enough groundswell, if there's enough people spreading the truth of it, and it is that, and we've been given remedies for the first time ever. We have been given remedies to handle situations. Just say that the tax man is coming for you. For a start, where's the contract between that listed company and you? Did you contract with them? No. Ask them to prove it. Ask them to prove that they have not been foreclosed. Show them. Give them courtesy notice. But don't forget, we have to do it in love, huh? Because otherwise we're creating the same world again. So that's why they're called courtesy notices. They've got to be done courteously. And nobody can be forced to take them. OPPT 1776, you will see the documentation that was done by these three beloved trustees, and they did all the documentation. Heather, a brilliant lawyer, knew exactly what she was doing. So that is it, and it's up to us to live it. And all the countries, they're all listed there. She'd been working on it for many years, many years. It was done, I think it was done in either in July. I think July they went to actually did the foreclosures. Everybody was told. Tops of banks. CEO of Standard Bank resigned the other day. There was a massive, I remember getting a list, massive list of foreclosures from the top CEOs.
Okay, so just to wrap that part up a little bit and to make it maybe more clear in case some of you didn't quite get it, is that the One People's Public Trust, who consisted of Heather and Brian and Caleb and Hollis, you know, are the three lawyers that foreclosed on the old governments and corporations and they did it for every single person on this planet. And part of how they did it was the fact that in I think almost all constitutions, I might be corrected here, but I'm going to ask Ed and the rest of the panel to help out, but most of them state that there isn't anybody between us and our God, or us and the Creator. God is the supreme authority. That's what the majority of constitutions state, specifically South Africa's. So when they talk about source, what they've done is all those levels of authority, whether it was the police or alleged governments, no longer have authority over you. Okay? So the only person that has, well, I shouldn't say person, the only thing that has authority over each and every one of us is our Creator. And that's what she wanted to bring it down to. Now, that creates a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, it gives us freedom, which is what we are all needing. And you know, it's the only through freedom that we can really get great peace. But that's basically how it was done. And you might be wondering, well, why isn't this in the media? And I'm sure you can all guess, part of the reason why it's not in the media is because the media is owned by the powers that were, which are the banks and the corporations. Now, we haven't talked about the banks yet. What happens in a really general nutshell when a bank loans you money, and Dawn, Celeste, Justin, Ed, any one of you can, you know, jump in, or anybody, is that they actually don't have the money. They have like 1/10 of the money. That the other 9/10, they actually are, it's just a computer entry. There's no money, there's no paper, there's nothing to back it. They're licensed to make money. Okay? But to top it all off, the banks, the central banks we're talking about now, not the small, private banks. We're talking about the large central banks, are all basically owned by just literally a few families and organizations, like for the entire world. So, and they're, hoarding all the wealth and, and leaving us with nothing and creating the large divide between the haves and the supposed have-nots. We actually have enough in this entire world to feed everybody. We have everything we need. So what was mentioned on the clip that we just heard, the CVACs, CVAC stands for Creators Value Asset Center. And basically, we're each and every one of us a Creators Value Asset Center. We are the value, not the money, okay? And that's what we've been given an opportunity to go back to. And also just to say that we never actually even had to pay taxes. There wasn't actually even a law about having to pay taxes. But we've all just been doing it because we thought we had to. But there is no law that you actually have to pay taxes. The mass of the wealth was owned by, a small percentage of people and corporations. They've been also keeping us in lack by not allowing important technologies to be made public, which is a huge, huge thing. We actually don't need to rely on fossil fuels. We don't need fossil fuels. Yeah, and we'll come a little bit more to that. We'll talk about that at the end a little bit more. Okay, so the question is, well, what can we do? Because now the tax man is going to knock on your door if you don't pay taxes, right? Or, the policeman will come looking for you if you don't pay all your outstanding parking or speeding fines, right? So we actually have, like Anthea had said earlier, we have a remedy, which is called a courtesy notice. And Delia has handed out some samples of those courtesy notices. And a courtesy notice it's an offer between two individuals. And it's all done by it's all voluntary. So you don't force anything. That's why it's called a courtesy notice, okay? So what happens is you give a courtesy notice to whoever it is that is asking you for money or creating a hardship, bothering you. It could be the bank, it could be a corporate account, it could be money outstanding that you've owed. When this foreclosure happened on the 25th of December, all loans were made nil and void. Everything was wiped out. It's a huge thing. Exactly, that's what we're telling you. Yeah. And it applies to all contracts. Also, unless it's between two people, two individuals. Okay. You'll probably have questions about that, but we'll go into that a little bit more. So all debt is wiped. Wow. Yeah.
It was never there.
Because the money never existed. The money that you were loaned didn't exist. It was pulled out of the air by a bank that just entered it on the computer screen. So they had nothing to back it. So that was part of how this loophole that Heather and the team were able to find and foreclose on. And it's brilliant. Okay, anyway, so back to the courtesy notice. We're all equal. The banker, the person that works at SARS, the policeman or sheriff that's coming to knock at your door. It's really, really important to be courteous, and respectful and loving. But to also stand in your power, because this is what you can use, okay? So it's a courtesy notice, and it's very voluntary. Each courtesy notice is 5 pages because it also includes some information on the One People's Trust. You know, if there is a handful of people here that are interested in serving courtesy notices or need to serve courtesy notices to people, we will have a mini workshop wherever at some point in the very near future, and we can just sit and we can complete them all together. These are the 5 different kinds of courtesy notices. The first one is called a paper action, and this is used with any paper communication from a foreclosed entity, such as an invoice, a statement, a demand. It can also be used as paperwork in general to follow up as an incident, okay? So in the case of a receipt for a summons. Okay, so what that means is you can now, if you receive any invoice or statement from wherever, you can give that person, alleged company, a courtesy notice saying, sorry, you're not going to pay anymore. So the next one is an actual incident. Where you would use that one is if you were being detained, arrested, or imprisoned, and there was no documentation provided, okay? So nobody sent you an invoice, there's no statement, but you're somehow being, you know, there's been an incident of some kind. So you can use that form for that. But all you need is the person's name. You don't even need to give it to them at the time of the incident, because in fact, sometimes that's not suggested because emotions can be high. Like, it wouldn't be a very good idea to give a courtesy notice to a judge if the judge was now officiating in an alleged court, because that would embarrass the judge, and the judge wouldn't want to accept it. But if you gave it in a courteous way, you know, at a quiet time, or sent it by email, that's perfectly acceptable. Okay? You can send it by post, you can send it by email, you can give it by hand. It doesn't matter. And the instructions are given on there as to how to complete it. It's very simple. And then the next one is a future action. This is sent to individuals, any individual acting as an agent for a foreclosed entity that may interact with you in the future. The next one, slavery foreclosure general, that is sent to any individual whose activities in perpetuating the slavery systems has indirectly damaged your measurable energy. You be the judge of this. If you feel the activities of Monsanto are affecting you negatively, you are entitled to send courtesy notices to anyone at the alleged Monsanto company, including all the alleged company officers. If they respond, you are entitled to invoice them. Note that the terms and conditions they accept are a daily fee. Okay, so we are going to, as a group, we are going to send courtesy notices. So anybody here who wants to be part of that group, please, the more the merrier. We're going to flash mob them with courtesy notices, you know, and we can do this, you know, it will be obviously much more effective if we are strategic about it, especially in the early days before the majority of people are aware of just what's going on. Okay, so, and then the last one, for slavery foreclosure notice individual, is really great. That could be used in Anthea's situation, where it's similar to what I've just told you, except that it specifies an instant where harm is caused to another individual. So Anthea was arrested earlier this week, for those who don't know, but we'll tell you that story shortly. It causes harm to another individual, which actually similarly causes you harm, because we're all one. The overall concept operating here is to harm one is to harm all. And this sends a huge message to those who would perpetuate slavery, which is the system that we've been in, mostly unknowingly. It's literally, it's just putting in your name and the other person's name. And when you're putting in a company name, it's just the company, and it's best to use capital letters, but you don't have to put anybody's title. And it's always the alleged company, the alleged bank, the alleged government, the alleged. You always use the word alleged. That's quite important. We have been told that all the governments know about this. But now, obviously, the workers, like police officers or SARS workers or any city council workers, a lot of them don't know. So it's important when you're serving a courtesy notice, again, to be quite gentle about it, but at the same time firm, you know, because it is the truth. This is really what's happened. Okay, and then back to when you address it, and always using the word alleged, you don't ever have to put any more titles. You don't have to put the vice president or, you know, the manager, because it's now a titleless society too, which is also really great. So you just use their name, you know, Monsanto, and then a person's name, but no alleged Monsanto, and then the person's name. If the person accepts the courtesy notice, they have a couple of options at that point. Okay, if they do nothing within 14 days, this isn't really clear. I'm not really sure exactly how long they have. But if they don't respond to this courtesy notice, that means you're free and clear. That means there's no contract and there's no more money owed, and it's over. It's finished. If they do respond, they have a couple of options. So if they like pretend like you've never given them a courtesy notice, or that it has no meaning, then you can now start to invoice them, because that means they've accepted that they still have something happening with you, and you can invoice them. And on the courtesy notice, I'm not going to go into that. It's quite intense. It's in silver, and there's a whole list of the different kinds of fees. And I think it starts at around 2,000 ounces in silver. It's all listed in silver, because that's a worldwide currency. The other option is that they might give it to their manager or a colleague or some alleged senior, and then that person might contact you, and then you give that person also a courtesy notice, and then you invoice them. So it's a pretty basic procedure. And then the main thing is to keep track of the courtesy notices that you do give, and especially when they're delivered and how they're delivered. But that also can be noted on the form, and there is also a form that they give you as a sample, as a delivery receipt.
Yeah, but the most important thing, as they tell us, is to do it courteously, which we've stressed a lot, and to be in a state of love. Because as soon as you start a fight with that person, there you've actually created another little mini war. So that is the most important thing. Yeah, exactly. Be in a state of forgiveness, and try and be in a state of calm, and realizing that, you know what, we've got front row seats here. We are right at the forefront of it, and there's going to be, slowly but surely, as everybody tells, you know, their friends and things, it's going to be huge, but we're just starting the groundswell. Yeah, I'll tell you my story. I'll try and be quick. You know, so we put up this little wooden cottage, and they moved in, and we carried on doing our stuff. Then I thought I was going to build a barn, which actually turned out to be a sanctuary, which is what the whole thing has been about. Yeah, I knew nothing about anything. I didn't know anything about the Republic of South Africa being a listed company. I knew nothing. I needed to get my plans passed. But there's a design manual kind of thing, which is attached to the place where I stay, which I actually never agreed to, I must tell you. I didn't know anything about it when I bought the property. There was no contract with me between this place with this Farm Owners Association and me, because I was never told about it. I tried to get the plans passed, but they said to me, no, we're not going to stamp your plans, the housing place where I live, unless you take down that little wooden house, because that's not according to the design manual. Well, I said, well, I'm not taking the wooden house down because my friends live there. And so then the whole thing started. Then they kept reporting me to the City of Cape Town. And I had it wasn't the first time they tried to arrest me, but in between that time I met these amazing people who were very much in the free man movement. I'm sure a lot of you know about the free man movement because it's like a precursor to this whole opt story. People were trying to get their freedom back. We were trying to get off that maritime ship, but there was no real remedy. And the whole kind of free man movement opened up for me, and it was, I've got a thick file like this. You can't believe what I've discovered from that. And so it was like it was a good introduction to this whole One People's Public Trust. So when the One People's Public Trust came on board, I knew exactly that this was true. But when I then discovered that the City of Cape Town was a listed company, and I had never contracted with that company, and that company was there just to make money, I thought, well, I'm actually not going to submit my plans. So I said, so when they came the one time to arrest me, I said, no, that's not my name. That's another tool you can use in the transition stage, because they have to make you, you have to agree to being that name. So then they went off. There were no opt at this stage, and I had some children, they're living at home, and I didn't want the policeman rocking up there, handcuffing me and taking me off. So I thought, well, I'll submit some plans, but they weren't all complete, but it kept them at bay, kind of thing, you know. And then opt came on the scene. I had to appear in court. Well, I spoke to them beforehand before I actually went to court. I tried to give them courtesy notices, telling the one would have nothing to do with it. The prosecutor, the law enforcement officer actually took it, but they didn't really get it. But I said I withdraw all my plans from the council now, because that council does not exist. And here it is in black and white. You can go and check it out for yourselves. And I think that was what really got their, they got, that's why they sent up 7 policemen to arrest me that night. So the next step now is there's another court case in these alleged courts on the 10th of May. And my defense will be that the courts have been foreclosed and they have no jurisdiction over me. And that was always my defense. I said, you have no jurisdiction over me because I never contracted with your company. In America, you know, the states, you go from one state to the next state, you have to go through like a police blockade thing. And did you see that video clip? Yeah. And they just said no. There was apparently a whole stream of cars. And they said, will you please get out the car? No. Well, you think, no. Can you open the boot? No. Till eventually, they just let them through. And that is what it is. I mean, Gandhi called it civil disobedience. It's not civil disobedience, it's actually just our right.
I'm Ashton. Hi, everyone. Well, what I'm really interested is in building the future and getting organized with people that want to build the future. We can start networking and looking at alternative ways, because when the system does come down, and we know it's going to come down, there's got to be systems in place, and there's definitely a call out there for those who are interested in looking at ways we can fix South Africa. There's a big call for housing, there's a big call for food, and that is just the basic needs of what us humans need. So we can focus on those two things, and you know, see how we can organize and build something. I'd be happy to get involved with that. And you know, there's a couple of examples of what we can do that's currently, you know, taking the world by storm. Aquaponics.
Is that what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, we're actually busy with a project on Anthony's property. It's a complete system with you have your fish tank, and you have a submersible pump, and you'll be pumping your water into a little grow bed, which is you know, we're not using soil. We're using stones, and the fish is supplying the nutrients for the plants. And what the plants do for the fish, they filter the water, returning clean water back to the fish tank. So you have a complete system, and it's a great way of growing food. If you could produce food for your fish, and you'd have a complete system. And well, there's duckweed. There's all sorts of stuff. There's fly, you could be working with maggots and all sorts of stuff. And if we can implement this in all communities, it'll be a great way to break our need for going out and requiring the job. So what do we need? We need shelter, we need food. So another aspect is the building aspect. There's a lot of people homeless, but they know how to build. They've been working in the building industry for years. They stand on the corners. We could be teaching them how to bake bricks. We don't need plans. You can build a house. You need that land, you use that land.
What does the plant kingdom do for us? Nourishes us. It feeds us. It serves us. Produces the oxygen. Produces the food. Green is a color of service.
And love.
And healing.
And love and healing.
Truth.
And that is and truth. And that is where we are going. And we have the most fantastic example in the life of Madiba.
In his lifetime.
And South Africa, in many ways, is going to lead the way. And Cape Town is at the forefront of it. We are moving into the future with fantastic speed.
Thank you.
Well done, John.
Much of this process happens inside of you, of me. This is about a personal growth, a personal journey. We're taking back in the responsibility of our actions. We're moving away from a reactive state of being, inner space, to an active. We need to step from adolescence into adulthood. The reason that we have been taken for a ride by the manipulators of the system is because we have given away the responsibility of our lives. I buy insurance, motor vehicle, third party, so that I don't have to be quite so present in my driving, that when I bump somebody, it's taken care of. I've given away a piece of the responsibility of the care of living my own life. Take care of yourselves. We take care of others. It's about owning. We've been led into a competitive and a comparative state of mind. We're told that they're limited resources. We've been fed, the mainstream media will show us. They'll do graphs. They've convinced us that there's a limited amount of resource. So we start feeling anxious and afraid. We've stepped out of our responsibility and presence. And we start reacting against who? Against each other. How do I re-own my beingness out of a reactive state? If I react and defend a point of view and I try and defend against his claim, I am a defendant. I am the debtor. I don't want to live as a defendant and a debtor. I want to be a creditor, owning my position. I'm choosing to center myself in my being, but I'm also raising the bar in my own life of becoming conscious in every moment, becoming present in every moment, which means that I challenge myself in my own soft way of living and a little bit of ignorance, and I can skate along because I'm backed or insured or there's a system to protect me. I've given away my adulthood to the system. This process is about taking the responsibility of our lives back. Yes, it's a scary thing to do. But scary can up my attentiveness, and I can learn and get out of my scared space by knowing that these words and these legal documents, and they're intimidating, yes. Take your time. Start to understand who you are in a system and how the system has been manipulated.
But you can imagine that all of the skills, we take a survey of the people around us, of the skills that people can offer if we don't have those burdens. It's going to be totally amazing. Could imagine all those skills that people put there together, nothing stops us, I can tell you.